Game 2 with this series between Shaft and Solo. Let's have a quick look here over the team lineups. Shaft seeming to kind of, well, if it works, don't change it. They have made a couple of tweaks here. Still fielding in Ohio, swapping in a Kurfürst for their second battleship. It's not a normal pick here in King of the Sea. Adding a Minotaur to the lineup, still bringing 3 Moskvas and the Nevsky, fronted by a Gearing and the Ragnar. So they've changed out the Shimakaze for a Minotaur and changed out one of their battleships. Stats, what's Solo doing at the bottom end of the map?
So Solo on the south side of the map, standard 3-cap layout on this map. We're going with Ohio, Kremlin, a triple Moskva, so very similar. Nevsky for yet another radar. How many radars would you like? Yes, all of them, please. Then we've got a Gearing, a Ragnar, and a Khabarovsk, which I don't think I've seen. I've definitely seen one in King of the Sea before, maybe not quite this late in the tournament. Henning, any insight into why they might have done that?
I actually have no clue.
Yeah, that's what I thought you would say.
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Like, I can explain the Kurfürst pick, but the Khabarovsk guy is actually puzzling.
Is it possible? So normally people play with a heel. Is it possible, given whether it's with a Ragnar, is it possible that it's a smoke Kaba?
That would be interesting.
It would be interesting.
That would be a thing. I there's a part of me that wonders though, if you're going to take a gunboat, a tiny little gunboat like this for the smoke and the guns, why not a Harugamo?
I know. I don't get it. Oh well.
Well, let's see how they deploy with it. We're going to be onto it very quick.
Solo are the experts. They're the ones in the ships.
You got it.
So we'll see what they do with it. Hopefully they'll impress us with this Kappa pick. Okay, so initial deployments. What are the green team doing?
Let's see. Shaft has gone fairly heavy. They've gone for a 5-4 split with 5 ships going over to A. That's the Moskva now radaring both destroyers in the cap, backed up by Ragnar and Gearing, Nevsky and Ohio. The other 4 ships have all kind of deployed over towards the BC. The Kurfürst and the Moskva hanging around the top end of the B cap. Moskva and Minotaur headed over to C. So C's going to look pretty weak for those guys. They're trying to dump a lot of fire in on these destroyers here, though, as the Ragnar and the Kaba work on the cap here today.
Yeah, I think had the Kaba been a smoke, I think we would have seen it by now, so I'm pretty sure that's a heel. I'm still slightly puzzled as to why, but I guess we'll find out. So Solo a little bit lighter on this flank. They've got the 4 ships, the 2 destroyers, the Moskva and the Ohio. They're a little bit heavier over on the BC side. So we'll see if they can make that into some kind of push. Which of course they're going to have to, because that is their strong flank. They'll be pushing it to the Minotaur and the Moskva.
The more I think about the Kaba, the one thing that sort of kind of makes sense is that if you're going to use it as maybe an anti-Ragnar, it has some potential in that capacity.
I would say they use it as an alternative to Marceau, because Marceau is banned. So they want to have a fast destroyer with good guns that can relocate quickly. I think
that does
make
make sense.
That actually makes a lot of sense as well, right? Because you've taken, with putting Marceau on the game ban list, you've taken both of the speedy French destroyers off the board. Khabarovsk gives you an alternative to that.
So we are seeing a classic EU meme here. Kurfürst into the middle of B.
I was just commenting. I was going to comment on that.
Yeah. So you said earlier we don't see many Kurfürsts in CODs. You're quite right, but EU do occasionally. The EU team sometimes just like to take a Kurfürst and just shove it into the middle of the map, which is exactly what Shaft have done.
Shove it in and say, "I dare you to come root me out."
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a tick. It's very difficult to get out once it's in there. So. We'll see what they do. They can. I mean, it's behind the island, so they can only really get it out with either some kind of torpedo rush, which they don't have anything nearby that can do that solo, or just cross map, spam and stuff. So I think they're going to find it quite hard to get Vert out of that cap.
Despite all of the ships and all the destroyer presence at A, nobody owns that cap here. The Gearing and the Nevsky. That's Flow 420 over here on the 1 line. Backed up by Kamikaze's Nevsky. They have gone super wide. There comes the first smoke now to protect Kamikaze's as they try to work him into position here on the edge of the map. His teammates all playing north of the cap, just kind of hanging out. And that early Ragnar Khabarovsk push into A, having been denied the cap, watching these guys navigate, you kind of get the sense they're not really sure what to do with them just yet.
Yeah, put yourself into, say, the Ragnar's shoes, Nanatori. If that Ragnar turns around and tries to go into A, you've got the Nevsky radar there, you've got the Ragnar radar there, you've got the other Moskva radar there. That's potentially 3 radars which they can chain together if they want to keep you out of that cap. That is not a thing you want to be doing. And actually, Nanatori just gets radared there by Nevsky as I speak, and takes a massive hit from the Nevsky.
Yeah, that first salvo was a good one. I think they were trying to bring Nanatori over there to possibly try to pick up the Nevsky, but I mean, you were never going to be able to get close enough to do that. So I had to wonder, once he saw the smoke on the edge of the map, why did he continue? Like, you know there's going to be... You've watched these guys play, you know there's going to be a radar in there.
You know there's a radar, and you know that the gearing is going to be out the front of the smoke somewhere spotting as well.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And you know, gearing, assuming this is a legendary gearing, the detection is very good, and it's certainly much, much smaller than the Ragnar. So yeah, trying to bloom spot a Nevsky, if that's what the Ragnar is trying to do, not a good plan.
It feels like Nanatori just gave up a whole bunch of HP there for not much gain, as Shaft's Ragnar's into A now.
Let's pay attention to B here, because I think we've got a tiny bit of a counter push going on. The Kremlin of Lati, who we saw in the last game, is pushing up to the island, probably trying to just get over that line to block that points income.
Yeah, just hold the points back.
Gearing of Solo is just starting to cap C here. Currently spotted. I'm guessing that's a radar out. Is that from the Mino? Yeah, that is from the Mino of Zil, up on the 10 line.
There we go. Solo does manage to get Lati's Kremlin in there, blocking the B points there, as instead, in response, Shaft grabs A, so they are continuing to tick up a cap here. Over 120 point lead, 7 minutes played, as Solo is still trying to break into the C cap. It feels to me a little bit over here at C, like maybe they've been a little too timid.
Yeah, Henning, I would say that Shaft have very good map control right now. If you're Solo looking at this minimap, what options do you have to try and wrest back control of the map?
Solo actually has a pretty straightforward play here to actually get C, try to push beyond that, because this GK is actually really committed, he can't get out of there anymore. So if you get full control over C, this GK can just get farmed down, which gives you control over B as well.
So you think that's plan number 1 for Solo has to be remove Vert's GK from B?
Well, yeah. First of all, get the control over C completely, like, maybe push a bit more north. They're actually turning away here, which I don't like. They need to get control of the channel, basically.
Yeah, Go on, Sarah.
I was gonna say, speaking of farming, it feels to me like Shaft is doing a really good job. They've ripped off a good 20,000-30,000 HP off of Lati's Kremlin here at the bottom end of the B cap. Just, you know, between all the spam and everything they can bring in from the A cap, they've got really good shots on him in there.
The power of the GK Hydro.
Yeah. Selly's Cabba just took a massive chunk there, down to 11, although, as we've established, I think this is a heal Cabba, so being able to get a little bit of that back. Just dipping into secondary range there. Yeah, that Kremlin position is much more exposed than Vert's Kurfürst position. Kurfürst AP out on Selly. Ooh,
well, and it's exposed because of Shaft's push down the A line, right? Solo has bent and pulled these ships back. That allows them to claim that territory. They've shoved Pepegag's Ohio into the A cap. The Nevsky and the Gearing are all the way down the F line. So, and then Kamele's Moskva has basically just been taking shots for free at Lati for a while. So that position at A allows them to take this farming position on the Kremlin. And
interestingly, I would say Solo had the opportunity to do something similar up on the 10 line, and they just haven't.
They just haven't. Yeah, they really haven't.
They've pulled the Moskva back around, so you've got Monjara has come around from the C cap and is now nosing towards the B cap, rather than taking up some kind of flanking position.
I think to me right now, as I look at the map, one of the things that stands out to me is that Shaft is getting much better use out of their battleships than Solo is, right? And it's not that that Lati's Kremlin position is bad. That feels a bit like they've sort of maybe had to shove him in there as like we got to get this done, right? But the Ohio, I look at the position of the Solo Ohio and I go, it doesn't feel like he's very impactful in the match from where he is right now.
We might be about to see the first ship go down from Solo here, and of the game. The Moskva underneath B is looking quite unhealthy, down to 9k.
He's trying to find a little gap in here to get some cover, but hadn't found one yet.
Solo have also been chipping away at Vert. Niwaka's Nevsky from the smokescreen at sea has been doing some decent damage to Vert. Here we go. Can they take down either the Kremlin or the Moskva?
Oh, it's going to be the Moskva. He had gone under 10. Well, the Moskva's going to go first. He had gone under 10k. They got him on fire. Chatban's had great shots, and there he goes.
I think the Kremlin is going to be next because that focus fire is simply just going to switch over to the Kremlin.
And Vert's position there. That you mentioned it earlier. That GK Hydro allowing them to just keep anything in that cap lit. He's just slowly inching forward to make sure they don't lose sight of Lati's Kremlin until he's off the board.
Yeah, I'm sure Lati is sitting there watching the kilometers to the Kurfürst, you know, getting closer and closer to 6, but not quite being able to get there.
No, Lati's on double fires, and there he goes.
So Solo have now started to push up the 10 line, which, as we said earlier, maybe they should have done a little bit earlier, maybe with the Moskva. So we've got Ethanol and Niwaka now pushing up towards the D line, chasing Zill's Minotaur. Cabot taking a big
Cabot just
chunk
took
in the
a
middle.
huge hit. Yeah, well, he's going out here. The Minotaur's got him just absolutely nailed in, dialed in terms of lead, and it's only a matter of time, and there he goes.
Yeah, I think that was right, we're going to lose unless we do something. Let's try and rush the Kurfürst. They didn't get anywhere near that, so they've pushed out Torps towards Chatban's Moskva instead.
And Chat's probably going to take maybe one or two of these, but it's not going to be enough to put him down.
Yeah, let's have a look. We've got
just one, it looks like. Yeah, he's going to be clear after that.
Yeah, it's just going to be the one. That's totally fine. Okay, let's see if Solo can do anything with this flanking force, although if I was a Gearing, I wouldn't really want to take... Oh, here we see Selly's Kaba is meeting the final end, pushing those Torps out towards the Moskva. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be Ethanol's Gearing right now, trying to chase a Moskva and a Minotaur, both of which are radar.
No.
That's not a pleasant thing to have to do. 886 points, 890 points for Shaft here for a win. And I mean a series win, not just a game win.
Indeed. I just don't see... There's really just no way for Solo to get back into this game. They're about to lose the Moskva. That's going to take it even closer. You're down 4 ships. You're off pretty much all the caps at this point. I mean, you own C, but that's not enough. You don't have the firepower to break in anywhere else. I think Henning called it earlier, right? Like the 9-10 line push would have been a good play had they opted for that sooner, right? I think maybe if you take the Kremlin up on that flank, bring him down the channel, this little channel here in between the B and the C cap, you have better options on what happens next. But that's not what happens here in game 2, and Shaft earns a sweep.
Yeah, indeed, Shaft taking this series nice, straightforward 2-0. I think just showing better map control, better use of flanking maneuvers, and as you said, better use of the battleships there. So excellent. EU, I'm happy to say, go up 2-0. Henning, anything you want to highlight from that match?
No, I think everything was said already. Solo not pushing the advantage on C, unfortunately, cost them complete control over B because all their ships got farmed down way too fast.
Okay, SeaRaptor. Shall we pass it back?
Let's do it. Let's see what the studio thinks.